Hello everyone and welcome to LSI F1.5 Championship. We're today for the EU tier, the Japanese Grand Prix round 6 out of 16 already. For the first time in Suzuka, I should say as well. We're in qualifying a few minutes in actually, I should say. A couple cars out, unfortunately. Robbo and this is Vel, high tier driver, so it doesn't matter, but Robbo looking quick back in Singapore before retiring early, now retires from qualifying in quali, and that's one that once again them in not the best position. Breezer goes and sets a P2. It's actually Geisler. They are a reserve driver, but they're in the current tier, so they will score points. They are on pole position by quite a big margin at the moment. So Breezer, Blake, Ben all got some work to do if they want to try and get ahead of the Williams in that reserve position. Zingy, welcome. Tyre-wise, I think it's a pretty standard one. Would we want to see anybody go for the softs, or is it just going to be hards and mediums?
Well, I think the hard to medium is probably the best idea. I mean, tyre wear is very high on this track. The tyres really fall off as well, so you need to really conserve them, look after them, rotate the car around nice and smoothly, and just keep a cool head, especially under these hot conditions, because it can really overheat the tyres. Therefore, you could be looking at maybe a two-stop medium. I mean, they don't get two mediums, my apologies. So maybe medium hard soft could be the strategy if people are struggling for tyre wear. But we'll probably mostly see the one-stop, medium hards, or vice versa.
Yeah, I guess people from the rear of the grid might want to try a medium hard to get through, or maybe even go on the hards and just relax for the first start of the race. Yeah, get out of any turn one action. But right now, we're on board with Gilly. We'll go on board with them in a minute as they're about to start a lap, just getting their tyres warmed up on the out lap, ready to go. 10 minutes left, so we've still got a lot of time in this session. Nobody's going to be really... They're going to be pushing, of course, but not pushing to the absolute limit. You just want to get the first 2 laps in as best as you can, and then that final lap, which will come around about the last 5 minutes of qualifying, maybe even 6 if people go out earlier on. But Gilly is about to start a lap. Zingy, me or you going to take us through this one?
No, I'll do it. I'll take us through. Come through the last few corners in the Casio Triangle. It's very important to get a good exit onto the start of your lap. You don't want to lose it all before it's even started. Coming onto the street under the Honda advertising board, you want to come into turn 1. You want to not really brake, but lift off a little bit. Use the downforce to your advantage. Turn 1, Gilly lifts a little bit. It goes a bit wide coming out of turn 2, but you want to extend it on exit. Coming into the S curve now, you want to ride the curbs, but not accelerate on them, otherwise you might spin. Gilly had a little bit of a moment there, but it keeps it fine. You want to use the car to roll around these corners, and coming through into Dunlop now. This is a really fast left-hander, flat for the entire piece of it. Now coming into the Degnas, Degna 1, you want to hit the curb sometimes, but Gilly opts not to. Coming into Degna 2, you don't want to ride the curb too much, and he hasn't. That's a good job by Gilly. Coming into the hairpin now, you want to brake round about, I'd say 75 metres, but there is no braking board, so you can't really tell. On the exit, he gets traction down nice and smoothly. This fast right-hander, honestly, it's just flat on these new cars. These cars are very, very technologically advanced. Coming into Spoon now, you want to use all the curb on exit for the first part and the second part as he loses the back end just a little bit, but he keeps it straight mostly. Now coming up to 130R, you need to really set yourself up for this one. This one is flat to the floor. Gilly popping through the middle sector. He's looking good for pole position at the moment. Coming into the last few corners now, the Casio Triangle. Does he opt to ride the curb? No, he doesn't. Gilly seems to not want to ride those curbs, and that might lose him a bit of time. Coming out of the last corner, keep tight to the right hand side. Up to the line, it's a 130.1, which puts him just behind Blake in P4.
Yeah, very good commentary there, Zingy. Well done. Gilly, one of those drivers that usually opts for a low downforce setup, just from what we've seen in the past. Sector 1 for them is going to be absolutely critical to stay ahead, because if you can stay ahead in Sector 1, the rest of the lap will probably be quite easy. If he is running a low downforce setup, of course, that is. I don't know who will be trying to go a little bit higher on the downforce, but definitely in qualifying they will have an advantage. Is that Blake? Just going slowly. I think they've gone off just before the tunnel. Unfortunately.
On Degna 2, I think he rode the curb a little bit from what I've seen and spun on the curb. Meaning, yeah, I mean, that curb, let's talk about it for a minute. You don't want to be riding it, but at the same time, you do if you get what I mean. You can't really put your whole car over it, you just have to use your wheels. And if you hit it with the floor, you're going to bottom out and you're going to spin like Blake done there.
Reese is round. There you go.
Oh no.
Not what you want to see on the exit of the hairpin, very difficult lock up on that inside left front tyre, which is extremely easy to do. You just kind of lose the momentum, have to get back on the throttle, and it just ruins your confidence. We got Nifo, of course, Vale and EagerPro, all higher tier drivers, so they will score different points according to everybody else. So watch out for these guys later in the race. And remember, whoever finishes behind, they will get promoted a position. We have Breezer just starting a lap now. I kind of don't really want to go and commentate it because I'm not going to be able to do any better. But I'll give it a shot. So head down to turn 1, of course. Keep it as wide as possibly can. Dab on the inside, but they've missed the apex a little bit. They can still carry the momentum. Open up that steering, get it through. Lovely stuff. Trail braking up the hill as we go through the S section. Riding it nicely, just get that extra rotation and wait for that late apex up through Dunlop now. Not touching that inside curb, you want to get as close as you can to the outside curb. It's really depending on if your setup can handle it though. Got to ride that inside curve just a little bit to try and make sure you don't understeer off into the gravel. Under the bridge we go now. Get yourself psyched up for the hairpin. As I said, I hate it. You lock up that front left very easily. This time Breezer manages to get away with it, and very nicely done. Smooth on the throttle, keeping it to the right as much as you can. Minimise that track distance as we head down and back up the hill slightly up to Spoon into turn 13, now to 14. Great momentum through there, lovely stuff. Smooth on the exit, go as wide as you possibly can, and just waiting now for 130R. The bumpy track is absolutely atrocious, and all you can do is wait for the next corner. 130R, there you go, absolutely amazing to do, even in a simulator. Now into Casio, heavy on the brakes, riding that curve aggressively, minimise the track distance once again. On the inside, really tight as much as you can, minimise the track distance for final time. And that is up by almost 4/10, but it's not going to be anywhere near pole position. I say anywhere near. It is only 1/10 away, but still, Geisler is on top.
Yeah, Heischler with that banker lap time. The banker lap times around this track seem to be very quick, I've noticed. In the F1 race, the track was really ramped up at the start, and in a way, it almost got a little bit slow in the middle part. So maybe that's what people are experiencing at the moment. And speaking of experiencing issues with the track, EagerPro has spun in the next section, which I don't blame him. It's very common to spin here. The curbs are absolutely lethal if you hit them in the wrong way. Obviously, he cannot set a qualifying lap time as he's an F1 driver, but he's just trying to get his eye in, trying to get a little bit of practice in before the race, so we don't blame him.
Yeah, I will say, I've from the practice that I've done, yes, I do practice for these races. The more you go into the tyre, obviously the tyres will heat up, but they seem to heat up more and more and more and more, from my experience at least. So maybe that explains why the initial lap times are pretty quick, because the track's like at an optimal kind of temperature. The nature of this track just causes it to overheat all the tyres, so you've got to be really careful. Everybody, if they're smart about it, they'll use slightly higher tyre pressures in qualifying, of course, to give them some more pressure, more temperature very, very quickly, but they'll lower it down for the race so that it can be a little bit more manageable, but at the expense of tyre wear. Now, Gilly on another lap already. This will be their final lap, unless they back out of one and go for a second set on this run. But I don't think they'll be able to do that. It's quite a high tyre wear circuit, so this is probably going to be it for Gilly. Do we have anybody else who's about to finish a lap? Is Blake finishing a lap, or are they starting a lap? They're starting a lap.
Yeah, Blake's starting a lap now.
Lovely bug from Codemasters there. Thanks so much.
Yeah, Gilly's on a lap right now. It said he was 4/10 up coming for the first sector, so Gilly's on course to nab P3 off of Blake right now, but he needs to get a little bit more out of the car in this last few corners. We know Gilly, he likes a low downforce setup. I'm not sure if he is running a run now, but we'll see coming through into 130R once again. Keep it flat to the floor, don't lift whatsoever. Coming into the Castle Triangle for the last time, for Gilly at least. He misses the apex, rides the curve a little bit, which spits him out. And he spun! Oh dear! Oh, when he's hit the wall, so he might have a bit of damage too, so that's it for Gilly probably. That's him not out of qualifying, but that's him done for qualifying. P4 is probably going to be his best. Yeah, he's backed off, there's nothing he can do. That's unfortunate because Gilly was on a really good lap there, but he just messed up. But that happens sometimes. Speaking of messing up, I've just spectated Ben, and he just came back out of the gravel track, so I don't know what's happened there. He may have made a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah, Blake as well. They've also slowed down on this lap, so they're waiting to do another one. I guess Ben's going to do the same thing. Gilly not in quite the same situation. Unless they didn't get damaged, they might be alright. Geisler is on the lap to try and hold on to this pole position right now, 29.2, 1/10 ahead, just under 1/10 ahead of everybody right now. They're looking to defend it. We'll see what they can do. I spoke to them before the race. They said they're very confident, which is always good to see. They had a couple laps yesterday in the F1 tier. Unfortunately, their race did end a little bit early, but they still had a bit of experience in the race start phase, which is definitely going to help. It's going to allow them to be a lot calmer for today's race. They go purple in the first sector, so if they can start on the front row, that's going to definitely help you. I don't know if you'd want to start on the inside or the outside. It's really, I guess, preference. But the front row is going to be extremely beneficial, especially at a circuit like this, with a really high-speed turn 1, which makes it very easy to ruin your entire race if you make a slight mistake and tap somebody. Geisler coming to the back straight right now, getting ready to finish this lap. This is where the pressure is really on. You can't afford to make a mistake. And your heart starts racing, even though you've completed most of the lap. It's the final few corners that really matter, trying to squeeze everything out of it into that final chicane. And they binned it like Gilly! They've done it like Gilly into the pit wall, and they will not improve. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. They've gone into the pit lane, and that is the current pole sitter not going to be able to defend. Breezer's on the lap.
Yeah, and Breezer's on the lap. He's going to try and dethrone Heischler. He actually retires, so that's his qualifying over, making the same mistake as Gelly. That last corner really proven why it's so difficult. I mean, in time trial it's a pain. I know for experience, I don't know if you do, Aaron, but it's not very good. Let's hope that for Breeze's sake he won't make the same mistake coming into the hairpin. He opts to use third gear, which I found to be very interesting. I thought he'd use fourth and try and roll the car around. Anyway, coming into Spoon now, he decides not to keep it tight, so maybe he's trying to get more of a flowing run. As he goes a bit wide, he's going a bit wide, you can't be doing that. But he's coming out of Spoon now, you want to extend the track as much as possible, as said previously, and he has done that very nicely, coming into 130R. You just need to basically prepare yourself for the end of the lap. Breezer, what is it? He's nearly 2/10 up. He's nearly 2/10 up. He needs to improve just a little bit, and he'll get pole position. Coming into the last few corners now, takes a wide berth on entry. Gets a nice exit. Don't spin it like Gilly did. And coming up to the line now, is he going to get pole position? Yes, he has. Breezer dethrones Heischler off pole position unless Reese can do anything about it, but he's backed off. So it's Breezer on pole position from Heischler, Blake in P3, Gilly 4th, and Ben rounding out the top 5.
Well done to him. That is an amazing job, and once again another pole position. That's a lot nicer for him, of course, after the last race in Singapore. Let's see if Breezer can get this one to work. They definitely deserve a good result since Singapore. So we'll have to see how that goes. But that's qualifying over. Breezer takes pole position, Heischler in P2 after such a long time on top. Then Blake makes a return in P3. The rest of the grid, of course, Gilly, Benjamin. We'll have a look through the rest of the grid in a minute when the results go through, because, yeah, we don't want to waste all that time. But Tommy Gunn, Robbo, they retired a little bit earlier on and didn't get to improve any further up the grid.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, you need to be in it to win it, and they made mistakes earlier on in the session. You can't be doing that, especially around Suzuka when the track temperature fluctuates so much. You need to be on the track, not necessarily at the last second, but at the right time when it's a bit cooler. Maybe wait for some cloud to come over and cool the track down, which obviously is not really how it works in real life, but in the game, that's how it works. And yeah, everyone's finished now. We're just waiting for Reese now to get his Alpine into the pit lane, and not much else to say. Breezer just pulled it out at the last second, and he's done it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you need to do in the end, so yeah, really well done to these guys. And we're getting ready for the race. We'll go through the results, and the pressure will be on for 27 laps of Suzuka. Breezer takes the win, Geisler in P2, Heischler in P2, Blake in P3. This is the rest of the grid. then we'll skim through the race director just in case, and then we'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Remember, no formation lap, so it will just be lights out straight away. Go! Who's gonna get it into turn one? Breather gets away well. Can the Williams challenge? Yes, they will on the inside. They get a lovely start. It's gonna be neck and neck into turn one. Round the outside, they carry the momentum, but here comes the Williams back, but there's contact between the two. Blake will go through. How about that? Really well done to Blake, but Heisler unfortunately missing out. Gilly maintains P4, so does Ben in P5. And that's Gary up to P6, but issues further behind with Tommy Gunn. Unfortunately losing out a little bit there. We got this Vale making absolute moves in P7. That was a mega from them side by side, as that's Lalek trying to hold on, but Robbo's gone to the inside line. Lalek's backed out and Robbo's made the move. That is big ballsy, but he's managed to get it done. Fair play to him. I don't think anybody's going to try anything risky into the hairpin, but that was a pretty good start to the race for most guys. But yeah, Breezer leads on lap one.
Yeah, he said no one's going to really try it into the hairpin, and Ben just said, yep, I'm going to try it, but he just can't get past Gilly at the moment. He knows that Gilly is second in the championship, and he really needs to put him under pressure on those medium tyres. He's going to be much faster for the start of the race. ERS presumably being deployed here, but Gilly seems to be pulling away, so maybe Gilly does have a bit of lower wings. The car's sparking on the heavy fuel load as he go through 130 for the first time, flat out, fully committed. Ben can't do anything at the moment. Cutting back to the front now, and Blake's all over the back of Breezer, and he's going to try and go for a move. Go in the slipstream right now. Breezer obviously taking the fast lap as he's the first driver over the line, but he can't do anything. Blake's just going to stay back for now, and he's going to try and pounce later on as Niffle is in the pits for damage sake, I presume. Yeah, he's lost a bit of his front wing, so Niffle's going to have a wonderful comeback here.
Yeah, so Blake wasn't able to get into the lead on that lap. I was thinking Breezer's probably going to be pushing, because around a circuit like this, if you can get clean air, that'll be an extreme advantage. But Blake is so close in the corners compared to Breezer. Breezer is going to be in trouble. Reese is round, unfortunately, the S section. Don't know if that was contact or just a mistake. They're still in the race, luckily, but that's not ideal. Blake is still there. Who's that dropping down the order? It's Heisler. Heisler's round. More problems. I do not believe it. Going from second on the grid down to P11. Once again, I don't know if that was contact between the two, if that was just a mistake. These hard tyres are very difficult to get used to on the opening lap, of course, so that might be why. But yeah, not ideal, and unfortunately Reese finds the hot tyres after that initial spin, and it's not going to help them at all. They're going to have to just relax, be patient with the tyres, and then get back into it slowly.
Yeah, Gilly and Ben having an epic battle here for the podium position now, as obviously Heisler made a mistake. Ben and Gilly Ben made the move into Spoon, and he goes diving down the inside into the last corner. He pushes Gilly a bit wide, but here comes Gary on the inside. Ben swoops around the outside of Gilly, and now Gary's going to get the good exit. Gary came out of nowhere. He's going to be using the battery alongside Ben. Is he going to get past? Yes, he does. He gets past Ben. Gary P5 to P3 like that. Ben's getting swarmed on the straight by Gilly, and now Robo is coming down the inside for P5, and Gilly is the big loser of all that, going from P3 to P6. Gary somehow managing to make his way through, and Ben still being frustrated in P4. He can't find a way to get into the clean air apparently. He's just really struggling to get past, and he's trying his best in unorthodox areas, but at the moment it's not going well for him.
Yeah, Gary has a quick look behind him and an L-dance moment for everybody else, so he's really got them there, pulled their pants down. Benjamin, struggling there, tried to make one move, lost it for someone else. Robbo, right there, they were very, very quick in Singapore. We couldn't really see how quick they were in qualifying here, so we'll have to wait and see how it goes, but I'm sure they're doing pretty well. Obviously, they're up to P5, so they definitely are doing well from the back of the grid, more or less. So we'll see what Robbo can do as they catch to Ben. And we'll also see what Ben can do if they can get to Gary. Gary is in a really good position. I should have a look at Blake and Breezer, as Blake will get their first chance of DRS on the start-finish straight. Will this be a move for Blake? They were so close earlier on. He wants to try and get into that lead sooner rather than later. Otherwise, I thought it'd probably drop back a little bit. Is he going to push for it? He is pushing for it. He's got the DRS, but no, he can't actually find a way. He's not close enough, and Breezer is an absolute menace in a straight line. That is a very, very powerful Ferrari right there, and a very good setup we have for this guy. Gary stays ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but Blake and Breezer are 7.2 seconds ahead and gaining. These guys battling for the podium is just allowing Blake and Breezer to extend their margin by a significant amount. But Ben's not going to have to worry about that right now. He has to worry about getting past Gary. He just can't seem to get it for the first sector. These cars, I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again, these cars are obviously suited to fight more in the higher speed corners, but at the same time, people are still finding it difficult to get past, because the heavy fuel load is just not allowing you to push the car to your limits. As Gary's locked up on the grass, he's went a bit wide. Ben's lost the back end in reaction, and now Robbo might have a chance, but he's not going to be close enough at the moment. But these guys making mistakes, it's just allowing the top two to get away and allowing Robbo on the harder tyres to look better and better.
Yeah, they've also got to look out for the higher tier drivers. This is close. He wants to make moves, but he has to make them in a calculated way, of course, to not affect too much. But he is very, very quick, and he wants to get through because he's still trying to do a race for himself. Ben can't really catch. They've got a little bit of an advantage through 130R, and in the braking zone, I should say, but they can't really do anything. A good exit for Robbo here, and a bad exit for Benjamin, as Robbo now might have a go despite the double DRS. Are they going to push for it? I think they will, but Benjamin has got the advantage. He would either have to send it or back off, and he backs off. I think that's the wiser option of the two. He was not close enough to make that move. And once again, Breezer, Blake, they do not switch positions, staying where they are, although Blake is so much closer to Breezer than before, almost having a look into the first, whatever the corner name is. Degner, there you go. And he manages to stay ahead, does Breezer, into the hairpin. We're not going to see any sends. He's trying to take a little bit of a wider line, Blake, to try and get a better exit. Is it going to be possible here? No, it's not! They go onto the grass, and they're going to lose it! That could be a turning point in the race! They were looking so rapid at the start, and now Breezer might have a chance here to run away and relax.
Yeah, Breezer's going to have a little bit of time to recompose himself and try and push away from Blake. Blake was looking a bit faster than Breezer, but he's fast, of course he is, but he's just making those mistakes, and that's the really clinical moments that he can't afford to be having. That's going to allow Breezer to pull away 1.2, 1.3. He's not got the DRS. Breezer has played this perfectly. He's waited for a mistake, and he's used his DRS to get away from Blake. That rhymed, I think.
Looking further back, Benjamin's very close to Gary. I reckon he might have an opportunity here on the start-finish straight if he can get a good exit compared to the last one. Yes, he does. Ooh, Gary still does get a pretty good exit, so I think he's probably going to pull away enough. If he does have a challenge, he'll be able to get there, but very late to the party. It's not going to be possible. Gary will hold on, has a bit of an understeering moment in the first corner. There's a yellow flag, and that is unfortunately Reese looking to be lapped on lap 6 out of 27, so not ideal. Still, he can come back from it. We've seen it done in the past, but it's a very difficult situation to be in for sure. Robbo just sat into these guys' dirty air at the moment, can't really do anything. This is Vel as well. He wants to get through, but he can't. Gilly in the DRS as well. He's close, but it's just really difficult for him to do anything. That's Nifo also having a problem in the S section. Is that Nifo or was that Heisler? That's Heisler.
Yeah.
In P11, unfortunately, more issues for them. It was looking so good, but there's just a bit of a domino effect. This is Vale is going to have maybe a look at Gilly. No, Gilly is just a rocket ship. They need to get on the phone to Elon Musk because they could go to Mars within the next few months. I don't know what I'm saying. Back to Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin's under pressure from Robo here coming into 130R. I mean, it'll be a bit silly to make a move here, but do you reckon he will? Nah. He's backing off for now. He might go into the castle triangle, but I doubt it. He might just wait for the straight, although it's very difficult to overtake. It goes down the inside into the castle triangle. This is his chance to get ahead of Benjamin. The switchback is available just a bit, but those hard tyres don't have enough traction at the moment in terms of in comparison to the mediums. And he just can't find a way past at the moment. Ben being a big blockade in the McLaren. Well, not really a blockade, but this DRS should really hampering. It's Ben's going wide! Ben's going wide! He's come back onto the track. He's going to use the momentum from being off the track. But he can't seem to... Yep, no. I don't know what I'm saying.
Can't seem to find a way, but that is now Robbo ahead, and he's going to have an absolute headache, of course, on that medium tyre, the faster tyre. He wants to stay ahead, but no, he's made more mistakes, and he's into the grass. No. Benjamin, last week's race winner, is now going to find himself losing positions to the cars behind, going to try and stay ahead. He manages to do so, takes the racing line, but that's not ideal. Those medium tyres, they're dying off a little bit sooner than I would thought, so that's not ideal for Benjamin. I didn't even realise that he was on the hard medium tyres already, so that is a very, very strange one. Benjamin now loses more positions, and that does allow Gary to breathe and Robbo to have some clean air to take the lead of that train, I guess I should say.
Robbo, I mean, all season, Robbo's always been on the alternate strategy. He's been different to everyone else. He's been unique, and he's always put himself in a position where he's able to get third places, second places, maybe even wins at times. He's very consistent at putting himself in good situations, and that's what makes Robbo a unique driver. He's always just able to push himself up further than what everyone thinks. Because he started this race, well, how much positions has he gained? He has gained...
Since P12, that's where he started.
He's gained he's gained 6 places the game said, so don't know how that's possible. As Reese gets a 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane, which he's DNF'd. Oh dear. Reese's
not ideal.
race.
First retirement of the session, no points for Alpine in the end. It would have been points, of course, because of the higher tier drivers wherever they finished. Egapro also into the pit lane, so they might have had an issue. Not entirely sure. Gary actually is pretty rapid right now. I do want to have a quick look at the front as Blake loses the car. I was just going to say the gap's closed up, but no, it hasn't. He loses the car. I don't know what just happened there. I think they've just had more issues. I wanted to say Blake was too far behind, just trying to save on that ERS because they had none to begin with. They closed the gap, and all of a sudden, maybe they pushed the car a bit too hard, and Blake loses 7 seconds to Breezer now. What the hell?
Breeze is absolutely loving life at the moment. Blake's tyres are going to be a bit hot as... If you look at the rear camera, if you look at Blake's onboard and look behind him, the tyres look a bit sketchy, worse for wear. So maybe the medium tyres are falling off much harder than what we would have imagined. In the F1 race, we've seen people dying off around about lap 11, but maybe the track could be potentially a bit hotter. These are all the factors you need to account in. As Robbo, speaking of accounting people in tyres, Robbo on the hard tyres, he's going to be loving life at the moment. His tyres are going to be nicely up to temperature. He's not going to be overheating at all, but Gary just seems to be an absolute missile in the straight. That Red Bull really living up to its straight line speed name, giving them wings, as Tommy and Larlock are going... Oh, wait, no, man. My apologies. Tommy's went into the pit lane. One of the first. Oh no, he's got damage. He's made contact somewhere. Obviously he's going to go to the end, but he's made he's made contact with someone or something, which caused him to have significant damage to the front wing, and that's his race going to be significantly hampered. But you never know, it's F1, anything can happen.
Yeah.
As Robbo is starting to fall off a little bit in the first sector. This is a common theme we're seeing, is Gary actually makes a bit of a mistake. He can't really find a way in the first sector, but in the last sector, and especially the middle sector, he seems to be much better. So, Aaron, what do you think that is? What do you think
I think Robbo's looking maybe at a high speed downforce or straight line speed setup, because obviously they can use this final third sector to catch up. Gary is very good in the corners and very good on the traction. So I reckon Gary's looking at a high downforce setup. That's why he's able to hold it. And Robbo, of course, is very, very good in a straight line. So Gary has to make sure that he stays ahead of Robbo, because if he doesn't, then it's going to be extremely difficult to actually get that past. And at the moment, he's doing a very good job to do so. But Robbo this time, not any closer than he was on the last one. And Gary, all of a sudden, maybe he's actually on the hard tyre and we just can see a little bit of desync, but no, this time he makes a mistake, unfortunately, on the exit, and take everything back. I look like a bit of an idiot now. I was speaking facts, but there was just a bit of a mistake there from Gary. That does allow Robbo to go through, and Gary's going to have a big headache because Robbo's now unleashed into clean air. His tyres will now not be risking overheating, and he's just going to be a rocket in a straight line. Of course, a straight is where you make most overtakes, so it's going to be impossible.
Well, this actually might be good for Gary. Hear me out. Gary's on the medium tyre, they're going to die off quite soon. Robbo is really fast in the straight line, so maybe Gary through the corners will catch up a bit. On the straights, he can use the DRS to keep with Robbo, although me saying that, he's already pulled 7, 8, 10s. Actually, Gary gains a little bit back, so maybe that's that high downforce coming into fruition. But Robbo's put himself in a really good situation. Blake only 4
sorry, Vale's just had to try and go for a move into the hairpin, but they make contact with Gilly. They make the move. Gilly backs off because he doesn't really need to fight it, but that was an interesting one. I think Vale tried to force space from Gilly. Gilly didn't really leave space, but he didn't exactly hit the apex. Vale then spotted the move, tried to make the move, kind of lifted off the brakes a little bit too much and understeered into the house. So this Vale has made the move. I don't think any damage is done, and if it is damage, it would be to this Vale, so he hasn't affected Gilly. But yeah, that is an interesting one. Sorry to butt in there.
Yeah, don't worry about it. These things happen. And Gilly is looking... Oh, he was looking good until... What happened to Gilly on the exit? He just didn't get any traction. He was about 5 tenths back, and then he just dropped hundreds of time. Although, I mean, look at the... Oh my days, look at the DRS. The DRS doesn't really gain you much in this game, but that just shows how low downforce Gilly likes it around literally every track. He'd go to Monaco and still run around like 14 wings. This man is a different type of beast, and you don't want to mess with him on the straights, although in the corners, I mean, you can see the time, it's just bleeding out to Vale, and it's just not looking good.
Yeah, it's almost as if you were using a set of soft tyres and, like, from the start or something, 11 laps would be absolutely dead. Tommy Gunn, 5 seconds for corner cutting and maybe a 3 seconds for getting too many track warnings, as they've made a mistake. They've gone into the pit lane and they retired from the session, so that's the second retirement and both in the pit lane. That will be no safety car, and everybody right now at this stage of the race are kind of just gapping each other, I guess you could say. Gary, after releasing Robbo ahead, they just can't seem to catch back up. Have a look in the straights though, let's see if they can catch back up on the straight line or not. I don't quite know. Then we're going to have a quick look back at the race leaders just to see what their status is.
Yeah, I mean, the race kind of calmed down a little bit. Everyone's had their little battles, and now people on the harder tyres we're going to really click on. Vale and Gilly might start to do a bit better, especially Vale, who's looking very quick at the moment. Gary's going to be put under a lot of pressure within these next few laps. Those hard tyres, if I had to say a percentage, I'd say around about 30, 40, and those mediums are going to be around about 50%, maybe 60, depending on how hard you're pushing them. My apologies. But, you know, that's going to be really difficult for everyone, because you need to really plan out what you're going to do with the tyres. Because Japan, I mean, the first sector, you can just see it. Fast left, right chicanes. As Gary's actually lost a bit of time there. I looked on his own board, yep, he lost a few tenths, he made a bit of a mistake, so maybe the tyres are dying off. And maybe that's why we see Blake earlier on spinning. Robbo isn't catching though, so it's a very unique situation going on here. We don't know really who's quicker at the moment, although Vale is catching, so we know Vale's quicker, but Robbo can't seem to find too much pace at the moment, but although he could be just being patient at the moment, Blake could be using his ERS. There's a matter of things that could be happening, although Blake's faster than Breeza. He's caught up a couple seconds, but the spin is really costing him in this race, and that could... No, I'm not going to say that in case I jinx anyone.
It would maybe suggest that everybody's kind of heating their tyres up a little bit. Maybe, you know, a lock-up can actually go quite a long way around a circuit like this, depending on where you lock up, which would then heat up your tyres, and it could cause you to lose a lot of time. So that's why maybe it's not grip, although Breeza thinks it's grip. It might be tyre temperature. But Breeza going into the pit lane is not unheard of. Actually, this is the pit window, I should say. Lap 12 to 15 if you really wanted to extend it. So, yes, at this stage it is grip, but earlier on I think it was just about tyre temperature. Many people into the pit lane. Gilly, of course, following. Blake followed as well. We have Gary in. Robbo, Vale, not Gilly, sorry. Gilly's not pitting. They're on the hards. They're going to get that clean air. Benjamin wants to go a lap more. Try and maybe wait for a safety car. It might be an idea because everybody's going to be waiting on these tyres. They're going to be a little bit more tricky to drive with. So in theory, it could work, but it's definitely a big gamble. But with the gap that he unfortunately has, it's worth a shot as Blake is getting challenged by Niffo. Niffo having a look in the S section. That's going to be really painful for Blake, but he couldn't really do anything. Niffo just got so... well, their tyres are completely switched on. They got the temperature, everything that they need. Yeah, Breeza is unfortunately not in... no, not Breeza. Blake, unfortunately, lost a lot from that. Blake might be able to catch back up from this, but Breeza has been not saved. I think saved is the wrong word, but helped.
He's been helped out, especially by Niffo on the medium tyres. Blake was, well, I'm guessing... He was thinking maybe he can get the DRS, but I mean, look at it. The hard tyres take so long to heat up. Maybe this is what Benjamin's preempting. Ben is going longer on the tyres, although they are dying off, but he will have a pace advantage for about a lap, maybe a lap and a half, depending on the tyre pressures people are running. Is he going to come into the pits at the moment? No, he stays out. Benjamin is staying out at the moment, but he's going to eventually become slower. Let's watch the gap from Breeza to Ben this lap. He's going to significantly drop off if he doesn't come in soon. Niffo realises this and comes into the pit lane for obviously hard tyres. Ben, yeah, look at the gap. It's already dropped 4 tenths, although he has gained a little bit there. But he's going to just be losing bucket loads of time, so I don't know what the strategy is. He might be waiting for a safety car, as you said, but I wouldn't bank on it.
Yeah, Breeza, Blake, everybody who's just pitted, they're going to have about 2 laps to warm up these tyres, so at the end of this lap, or maybe even halfway into this lap right now, they will all of a sudden start gaining heaps of time to Benjamin. And they'll be good to go to the end of the race as well. So Benjamin, I still say, after the spin he had earlier on, it's probably not a bad idea to go for something a bit different. Because you have to, really. Especially being in lap 14 and no safety car being deployed. That kind of sets the scene for what could be the rest of the race. If nobody has caused a safety car this earlier on, then there probably won't be, or many safety cars later on into the race. I don't want to jinx that, but he has to try and wait for one. Just try something different. It's worth a shot. Benjamin will be going into the pit lane within the next 2 laps at least, maybe even this lap. Is he going to go for it? Yes, he will. Actually lifts off the throttle to turn the car in, then get back on the throttle, which is an interesting way around it. But into the pits he goes, onto that medium tyre, hard tyre, and he will be good to go to the end of the race. He's not going to have any problems. Gilly, however, he is going to be absolutely rapid, interestingly leaving the garage very slowly from the pit crew of the Haas team. But yeah, their tyres are going to switch on very quickly. They're going to be very, very quick, but their tyres will start to drop off. Gary actually lost quite a bit of time because Gilly all of a sudden is right there. And I should say also, Gary and Larlock both got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So not only have Red Bull run out of money for fuel in Singapore, they've now run out of money for actual brake pads. They're still using the brake pads from Singapore. So, yeah, really struggling for money, and they just haven't been able to stop the car before that safety car, or before the pit line, I should say. So, yeah, Gary, Larlock, all jokes aside, that is pretty unfortunate. Hopefully, it doesn't affect them too much later on in the race. Is that, no, not a mistake, I don't think. Gilly is just trying to get these tyres warmed up. Benjamin will be there, but not for long. Gilly will just have the advantage. And as we said also, Gilly's very good in a straight line, so have even more of an advantage.
Robbo and Vale are into the pits, obviously for the medium tyre. And you said actually the Haas has had a slow pit stop. That may have been Gilly's fault actually. He may have pressed the button a bit too early, a bit too late, and he may have not got purple. So we need to take that into account. As we see, I think Vale also had a bad stop. Vale's dropped back quite a lot. Look at him. He's very far away from Robbo, so he may have also had a bad pit stop. Obviously, you want to nail it so you get the fastest pit stop possible, but you might mess it up by a few tenths, and that can cost you up to a second sometimes. So it's fine margins in the pit lane as well as on track, and that's why you can't mess up at all.
Yeah, Breezer now unleashed back into the lead with a 5-second gap, so Blake has found pace on these tyres. They're slowly catching it up, and with being over, just over, of course, the halfway mark now of the race, yes, Blake has time to try and catch back up, and they could, in theory, if they can keep this momentum, have a chance at this race win. Although it seems to be as soon as they get close to Breezer, they make mistakes. So hopefully that colour red in that Ferrari just doesn't get that distracting, and they can get back into the fight for the lead and give us a good battle. Whoever wins, whoever deserves it most, I hope they win. But Blake, unfortunately, as we speak, gets himself a 3-second. They have to hope that Breezer does it. But yesterday, I don't think we had any time penalties. It's a very, very, well, I would say difficult circuit to get a time penalty at. The only real parts of the circuit you can get a time penalty at is Spoon and Cassia, of course, right here. Maybe at turn 1 and 2, but other than that, maybe the Degner curve, but...
Sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt here. Gilly is all over the back of Gary on those fresh medium tyres. Is he going to go for the move down the inside? He's got the straight line speed advantage, he's got the tyre advantage, probably the ERS advantage too, as he's fast in the straight line. Literally everyone, especially Elon Musk's rocket ship, and he's up into P5. So Gilly is going to be on the charge now for a podium, although he is a bit far away, but he's got the pace, he's got the skill, so he can definitely do it.
Yeah, great move. We went on board, just looked to the left side, hand side of the car, of course, just to watch Gary as they passed him, and that straight line speed difference is absolutely amazing. So yeah, really well done to Gilly and the Tesla, no, Haas, sorry. It's not even a Tesla that's gone up to space, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, that is good news for Gilly. He's got a higher tier driver ahead of him, so he's actually in P4. He still wants to try and have a look at a podium, does Gilly. And he's also ahead of his rival Benjamin, who is 2 cars behind him and on a different strategy. So he's got to hope that Gary tries and fights, but Gary's really on the pace this race. Of course, they've had some really bad luck in the recent times, but Gary's looking at a good result here. They just need to try and keep it together. But that pit stop and that time penalty has made it really difficult.
Yeah, Gary on the hard tyres, obviously. He may just struggle to slow it down into the pit lane. It's it's a very tight pit lane, tighter than you imagine. And Gary really needs to get ahead of Gilly here, but I mean, who would be kidding? He's got the straight line speed. Gilly could literally put in autopilot mode and still be faster than everyone. That straight line speed of the Haas is absolutely unbelievable, and yeah, he's not even caught much time at all, but into the corners, Gary might have a chance. Ben will be licking his lips. If he sees these two battling, he's going to try and push on, and he's going to try and get ahead of Gilly. Remember, these two are P1 and 2 in the championship, not having the best of races, but that happens sometimes even to the best of us. So, well yeah, he just needs to stay focused and try his best. He's going to be using the ERS and tyres to his advantage, as later on he will obviously have the pace on the harder, more durable tyre.
Yeah, for sure. Just noticed that Gilly was really riding that inside curb just before they got to the tunnel. Gary not so much, but they didn't really gain or lose any time between the two, so maybe there's a couple of ways that you can take that curb. Gary very quick in the corners compared to Gilly, no surprise. Maybe you'd even say a phrase that has the word Sherlock in it, but now watch this. Look at the gap now, 6/10. Will Gilly try and push? I mean, it's not really changing. Gary will have a distant toe, but it's not changing. I thought maybe Gilly would show us a little bit more of a gap, but they don't need to. That's the advantage that they have, of course. With such a high downforce straight line speed setup, you can just relax. Don't even use any ERS when you're going down that straight, of course, because everything else is just done for you. Whereas Gary has to try and use a little bit and manage it instead. Gilly might start using a bit of ERS in the first part of the circuit, but he wouldn't really need to worry. That is the beauty of a very high straight line speed setup. And once you're ahead, very difficult to actually get back past.
Well, I've just gotten a knock on the door. Has anyone ordered a Benjamin? Because he's in the battle now. He's only 1.5 seconds back, and he's pushing, he's going on and on. He's going to be catching up to these guys. He's absolutely rapid. I've been looking at his own boards, looking at the sector times. He has been setting green lap times as he makes a mistake. Oh my days. Commentator's curse. He's made a bit of a mistake, and surely the gap is going to fluctuate right up to... Not fluctuate, it's going to bounce right up to 1.3. Although he did get a good exit due to his, obviously, going wide. But yeah, Benjamin seems to be having the pace at the moment. So this is something we need to watch out for. Those medium tyres will die off near to the end of the race. These three are going to be battling for obviously P4, as this feels a higher tier driver. But Gary's going to be... He's going to be kicking himself. He really needs to get ahead of Gilly, but he just can't. That straight line speed of Gilly is just too overpowered. He needs to be nerfed. But obviously, you can't really nerf straight line speed.
Yeah, well, it does help him, of course, because he can catch back up in the high speed or high downforce corners. And it does allow him to maintain that DRS, which doesn't allow Benjamin to get too close, although he is gradually closing up. The gap, he's also got 2 lap fresher tyres. But yeah, Gilly, he needs to break away now because he's got that softer tyre. He's only going to get slower. Benjamin has to hope that Gary doesn't fight him too hard, because he's obviously got a time penalty, and he has to hope that he can get past Gilly. At this point in time, Benjamin doesn't need to worry, just needs to relax, keep consistent, manage everything, and then he can push later on. We are coming to the closing stages of the race, but still, at this point, he doesn't need to worry. He just needs to try and look at Gilly here. The top 3, I do...
I'm going to have to interrupt you here, Aaron, again. This is Velos going for the move on Robble, coming into the spoon curve now. Up the inside, it's really tight, thin margins here as Robble hooks it right around the outside and able to protect the position. This is Vale, is probably going to be using ERS. He wants to get ahead of Robble at the moment. Robble, it doesn't look like he's going to defend too much. He's going to let him go. Maybe going into 130R? No, he backs off. He thinks much better of it. And this is Vale's up into P3, although Robble will have the DRS. And this is Vale's lights actually flashing, meaning he's under 10% battery. So he's been using a lot of his battery, but he just gets a good exit once again. We've seen it with Gilly, and then we've seen it with Robble. He just manages to get such a good exit, and then they can't catch up enough. So it looks like he's running a bit of a higher downforce cell, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's pretty good from Mrs. Vale. Well done to him. He's going to try and hunt down the rest of the grid. Blake got a 3 second. He's closing up to Breezer. Slowly but surely, but he is doing it. He would need to try and put the pressure on Breezer later on. Unless that's not legit, Breezer can kind of relax at the moment. I wouldn't. If it's 1 3-second time penalty, I wouldn't relax. If it was a 6-second time penalty, you can relax because, of course, they've got 2, and it's very unlikely that they're going to get both 3 seconds removed. But yeah, at the moment, Blake catching, but not really enough. Bit of a mistake there from them, but nothing too much to worry about. Robbo, he can use this as well to his advantage if he doesn't fight them too hard. Looked like he wanted to stay ahead. It was an interesting place for this is Vale to try and push into Spoon. Although maybe they tried to get past on the previous laps, I don't quite know. Maybe that's where they tried to put the pressure on a little bit earlier on, because as you said, they were running out of ERS, so it shows that they were having to push a little bit to get past. The train at the back right here is absolutely mega, with Gilly leading the way.
Oh, Niffle's actually joined the back of it. He just came on right onto the back of the train, so now it's a 4-way battle for P4. Although Niffle is a higher tier driver, so his results won't actually be counted. But Niffle's here just for fun. He's going to have nice and clean racing. And speaking of nice and clean, that exit from Ben does look nice and clean. Although he loses a bit of time on the exit. I say that, I need to stop talking, honestly. I'm just cursing everyone in this race, it seems today. And it's just no one can get past. It's the Gilly train. And Gilly pretty much in control of everything.
Really good stuff from Gilly. He's leads the way, and really a big headache for everybody as they go into the S section, of course, because they're right there. They want to push, but they can't because there's a Haas in the way. And then it gets to the straights, and Benjamin has taken as contact as that's Niffo goes into the back of him. I don't believe it. No way. Once again, Ben losing the car a little bit too much. The car can't cope with the high-speed corner at Dunlop, and that's them going to lose that train. Gary all of a sudden now has no pressure behind them, and that's brilliant news for their 5-second time penalty. Niffo, I don't know if they got away with damage there, but there was a little bit of contact.
I'll be able to make sure for you. I'm going to see in the replay cameras. It does not look like he's got damage, although I did see something fly off. That might have been Ben's wheel. He might have thrown it in frustration. No, I'm joking. Oh, wow, that's really unfortunate. Was there contact, or did Ben just spin? I didn't really catch that entirely.
It was on stream, so we'd have to look later on, but he spun. But, yeah, contact, unless Niffo had the best reaction time of all, and they might have been able to brake before there was contact. They had to go and take avoiding action. They don't have to make a pit stop, so maybe there isn't damage. It was very light if there was contact, so they will be able to get away with it now.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. Ben was looking for an alright result after having a bit of a shaky start, and now he's only going to be on course for a P6 compared to Gilly's P4. God, I couldn't think there. Jesus. Yeah, Gary's actually, he's dropped off from Gilly, as you see. He's 6/10 behind, even in the corner, so maybe Gilly's found a second burst of wind into these tyres. He's doing a Lewis Hamilton. All of my tyres are gone. Nope. He's setting good lap times now. Gary can't seem to find a way to get close up to Gilly, so maybe this is Gilly's chance to break away. I'm not entirely sure, of course. Anything can happen, as we said. Gary loses the car a bit there, doesn't he? Does he lose the car a bit there? It looks like it. And he's now 9/10 back, so now Gilly's going to use a bit of his battery. But Gary seems to have actually decent straight line speed. Gary's actually challenging Gilly in the straights. Gilly's got a competitor for once. This is mental.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't exactly slow. Of course, we saw him earlier on, and he wasn't really losing much, but he definitely didn't have the advantage, and I knew if Gilly really wanted to push, they would be able to with that ERS. They've got to still manage it the later stages of this race. I just wanted to point something out. Blake did catch up to Breezer. All of a sudden, they've lost a lot of time. Once again, this is Vale slowly trying to catch up to these guys, and Robbo is right behind us with Vale, so Robbo's found pace here.
Yeah, Robbo's absolutely electric right now. That alternate strategy really putting him in a good position, and Robbo just doing the work on track. Mercedes doing the best strategic work in the world for Robbo, and Robbo is finding pace. His high star gets a penalty, although he is last, so that wouldn't really affect him whatsoever. Robbo, he looks to be dropping off in the first sector, so the tyres might be dropping off, but he's somehow managing to find pace. Speaking of finding pace, Niffle has caught back right up to the train again, and will be looking to get past at the moment. But I mean, the story of this race has been you just can't overtake, can you? If you're on a DRS train, you can't get past, especially when Gilly's the conductor of it. So it's going to be really frustrating, but you have to maybe make an opportunistic move. Maybe not if you're Niffle, because obviously you're a higher tier driver, but Gary might look for a little opening into an unorthodox place, but we'll just have to wait and find out. He has been fast on the straights previously, challenging Gilly. But he's really struggles with the spoon corner, as you notice. Gilly pulls away and Niffle significantly closes up. He's all over the back of Gary now, coming into 130. I don't think he's going to make a move at the moment. he's just going to wait for DRS, which he can't do. You need to overtake now.
He's got no energy to actually push, so he can't make a move unless it's on the brakes, and he's way too far back for that. So Nifo's been pushing after that mistake with Ben. This time they get close, but they make a mistake, so they're going to get the DRS, but once again they don't have the ERS to push, so they need to do it on the brakes. They get a good exit, but it's equalised by the energy usage of Gary, of course. So Nefo's got to either make the move now or leave it completely, because yeah, they don't really want to make it cause an issue later on. But Gary goes off the circuit at turn 2 and loses the position anyway. They still could gain from this, of course, but if Gilly was smart, he would let Nifo go, because he's just all of a sudden found himself a bit of a gap between himself and the car behind. But yeah, Gilly looking in a pretty good position. Nifo got a free move there. Looking at the top 2 though, as we are coming towards the final few laps of the Grand Prix. Blake in P2 at the moment. They're in DRS range. They can still try and fight for this win here in Suzuka.
Yeah, Blake is absolutely all over Breeza. We're not sure if the same penalty is confirmed yet or not. Using all the battery. I think he may be out of battery because the light's flashing a bit more than usual, and that really just signifies that you're out of battery, which I actually found it last night. I know, discovering new things, even 2022, eh? Blake looks to have lost a bit of time though, coming out of the last few corners, so maybe Breeza does have a bit more battery, which wouldn't be surprising considering Blake literally has none, due to the, you can tell by the light. So, now Breeza's got a job to do. What would you do in this situation, Aaron? Would you back off and just cruise to the finish, let Blake have DRS and maybe risk getting overtaken, knowing he's got the penalty, or would you push on, try 100% to make sure Blake cannot get ahead? As we see Nifo, sorry for cutting back to this, but Nifo's got ahead of Gilly, so Gilly, yeah, I think Gilly's just let him go. There's no way that Nifo's caught up that much time. Gilly's far too quick on the straights for him getting blasted past like that.
Yeah, it's not worth the fighting on the final few laps, although Gilly actually lost a bit of time by doing that. So didn't go quite to plan as I thought it would, but it is what it is. Now, looking back at Blake, he's very, very, very quick in the corners, and he loses it on the straights. This time, he's a lot closer, and he might be able to stay within DRS range by the time we get to the end of the lap. Of course, I would fight this Breeza, because yes, it's a 3-second, but it's only a 3-second, and it's not that much of a buffer. Breeza struggling for ERS as Blake does make a mistake as they exit Spoon. Unfortunately, it's going to lose them a run, but it's not enough, and they will get the DRS here as we head to the final lap of the Grand Prix. Breeza's trying to make it a second win this season, and Blake is as well. Is it going to be possible? Blake gets the DRS. Will they be able to catch anything? No, not right now, but they are so quick in the first sector, Blake. They will have an extreme advantage on the throttle. Keep it smooth. Keep it steady. I know that heart's racing, but don't get greedy at this stage of the race. It's the final few sectors to go. You can see he's gaining so much, got the confidence in the car. I don't know what's going to happen here on the X of the Dunlop. That's amazing. Amazing from Blake. Breeza is looking in a bit of trouble. Once again, so much confidence. Are we going to see a move into the hairpin? No, we're not, as he goes onto the curb, loses the car, and he's going to have to back off. After all of that, takes the wider entry to try and get a good exit once again, but no, Blake is out of the race on the final lap of the race. I do not believe what I've just seen. Once again, makes a mistake as we saw in Imola, and that's now Robbo up to P3, out of P2, and Gilly is fighting for the podium positions after all. Gary drops behind, and I don't think they're going to be able to actually challenge after all of that as well. They're way too far behind Gilly. Breeza has got the final few corners to go. It was looking close just a second ago, but now it's not. It's looking easy. Breeza's coming around the final few corners, and he's going to make it P2 in the EU Championship. Breeza wins the Japanese Grand Prix. How about that? This is Vettel takes a P2. Great comeback from Neymar. Robbo, an amazing drive today as he takes P2 for the EU drivers. Nifo is going to get to P4 after all of their struggles today. Gilly with the absolute mega strategy, going to piss the entire grid off, but he will take that P5 in the end. We've got Gary and P6. Benjamin not able to gamble on that strategy with no safety cars. They will take a P7 after all of that. Egapro in P8. Larlock. Blake won't finish in the top 10, but they will still score points, of course, according to the higher tier drivers, and they've completed enough of the race, but that's Breeza winning.
Oh my days. I don't know what to say. That is absolute heartbreak for Blake, but Breeza just kept it under control. He knew exactly what he needed to do, and Blake crumbled under the pressure. Breeza, throughout the whole race, maybe wasn't the quickest, but he was definitely the most consistent. He kept it on track at all times, and he really pushed his car, not necessarily to the limit, but he's done absolutely fabulous here. Breeza with an absolute epic win. Robbo with his strategy, somehow managing to get around to P2 after a woeful qualifying. And Gilly, as you said, annoying the grids entirely with his low downforce, gets a podium. Gilly is going to be catching up to Ben in the championship. I can't believe it, that was a sun race.
Yeah, that was really good. Usually Japan is pretty difficult to actually get any racing at, but that was probably, maybe not the best, but one of the best races we've had so far this season. Now we go to the results. Breeza takes the win for the EU tier, and then we have This Is Vel in P2. Robbo takes P3. We've got Nifo, Gilly, Gary, Benjamin, Egapro, Larlock, Geisler, and Blake in P11. And DNFing earlier on was Tommy Gunn and Reese. Valsislap also go to Heisler as well. We're just going to skim through the race director just in case we need to later on. And of course the pit stop section as well. And then we will be back for the post-race interviews. We will see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome back to the post-race interviews of the Japanese Grand Prix. That was a very, very crazy one, especially at the end. And we start the interviews with a driver who has had an absolutely heartbreak of a final lap. Blake, you were probably the fastest car on track at the time. Unfortunately, a little bit too fast on the final lap. What happened?
Just tires are old and I don't know. It just makes me mad thinking about it. I didn't know that Hale wasn't worth points. Thought he was worth points, so I was just trying to push.
Yeah.
And, well, I pushed too hard.
Yeah, not ideal. All I can say is it's a heck of a shame. Another DNF. You still score points in the end because you did complete enough of the race, but not what you wanted. You were really in contention. It's a shame that it went that way. The next one, Hungary. Do you think you can do well there?
Not my circuit. I don't like slow tracks. I like fast ones, but I'll try. Hopefully.
Fair enough. It's a shame, but still, you did a really good job and you should be proud of your pace today, so well done. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Should have been 26.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Well done today. And we move on to Benjamin. Ben, it didn't go quite to plan. There was a couple of moments where the car kind of rotated 360 degrees, but you had good pace. Do you think you could have challenged for the win if those mistakes didn't occur?
Not the win, but a lot higher up. 2 mistakes. First one, somebody spinned, and I was looking out for them. I saw the car. Crossed my fingers it would be Blake, because we made a deal that he bars my engine when I win the championship. So I was crossing my fingers, and I looked at him too hard, and I spun. So that didn't end well. So I started catching. Called back up to Gary and Gilly. And I knew it was about 7 laps to go, and I knew I had to get past Gary and then focus on Gilly because he's got Mock as his top speed. So did that. I saw Niffo behind me, and I bottled under the pressure. So yeah, that was it pretty much.
Yeah, okay. Not ideal.
Quiet race.
Yeah, in the end, still points. You still maintain the championship lead, so I guess that's an advantage. Hungary. Do you prefer that track over Suzuka?
Yeah, it's alright. It's better, innit?
High downforce?
Probably pretty high downforce here, so yeah, it'll be alright. I think high downforce suits me a bit better. I won at Singapore with high downforce, so don't see where it can go wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I hope it goes well the next time. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
We only need one, just quiet.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. And we go on to the race winner. That was amazing. Well done today. Pole position converted into the win. I don't really know what to say. Well, of course, you did have competition with Blake keeping you company for the entire thing. Did you doubt losing the race win at any point, or were you confident in yourself the entire time?
I got straight line speed set up, so my plan from the beginning was to just qualify as high up the order as I could and just block the straights, and my plan was just to do not be overtaken on straight. So even if Blake got close to me, like he was, I think it would be really difficult for him to overtake me.
Yeah, we saw that because they were having to push on the battery quite a lot, and all of a sudden they lost it on the straight. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense now. But yeah, that was really, really good. A little bit of a different circuit to go to next then, with higher downforce. Not going to be so easy to stay ahead on the straights, although you might be able to because there's only one main straight. Do you like Hungary more than Japan? Or is Japan your new favourite track?
Hungary is probably my most favorite because of the summer season. I had the best race
yeah, that was
Hungary,
amazing.
so yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome, good to hear. Well, One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Straight line speed.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today, and good luck in Hungary. And we move on to Heisler. Heisler, that was a shame. Looking really good in qualifying. You were on top for so long, and it wasn't the best start, but you were still up there, and then it kind of just domino affected from there on. Can you explain what happened?
Yeah, to be honest, it was a great start, but then I was on the inside of Brisa, I think, and we had a little bit of contact, and I had to catch a big save, to be honest. And yeah, from then on, I couldn't find a rhythm and kept on spinning. And when I was on my own, yeah, I found the pace back. And to be honest, if it wouldn't have happened, those spins, I think I could have won.
Yeah.
I think, except from Nifo, I was fast driver on track.
Yeah, you were very, very quick for sure. It showed that in qualifying. It's just a shame it didn't go quite to plan. As you said, yeah, you got off the line really well. So yeah, starts definitely really good for you. It's just a shame the positioning on track, as you said. Hungary next. You like that circuit?
Well, I like this one more, but I probably won't be there next race.
Next one, is it USA? Just
Oh no.
I don't know. Even if you're not here for the next one, yeah, USA, Austin. Do you like that circuit or not really?
Well, I have to practice it for my sign up for PSGL, so it's kind of good timing for it. But
Fair enough. Fair enough. Awesome. Well, last question. How do you describe your race in 3 words?
revenge will come.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And we now head on to the guy who works for Tesla with who's about to go to Mars with that straight line speed. Gilly, that was amazing. Nobody could get past you. Take us through that one.
I was concentrating so much. I had my mic muted for most of that race because I was just trying so hard. I had the great idea to up my front wing and just use no rear wing, so that worked out dangerously. I must have infuriated. It was the Red Bull, wasn't it?
Gary, yeah.
Yeah, it must have been infuriating, and I think Vale as well had was behind me for a bit, and that must have been a bit painful for them.
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
not. It's great fun for the person who has the low downforce, but everybody behind hates you. I think that's the kindest word to actually say. But on to Hungary. Straight line speed isn't really going to be a factor. It's all going to be quite high downforce. Do you think you can get something good there?
I quite like Hungary, even though it needs some of that dirty downforce. But yeah, I quite like Hungary.
Yeah, gonna try and rock the 0-0 wings. Fair enough. I like the idea. One last question: how would you describe your race in 3 words?
Sector 1 pain.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And we move on to Nifo. Nifo, problems at the start. You managed to get there in the end, and you made some good positions. Of course, you got into the battles, and you managed to somehow avoid a collision with Ben. Can you take us through that one?
Yeah, I mean, at the start, just the Ferrari just was horizontal across the track, and like a millisecond after I hit him, because there was no way to avoid him, he ghosted. So if I was a millisecond slower, I would have just continued to drive. But yeah, my front wing was like orange, so I had to pit it, and then it was just a recovery race, just people spinning all around me. Just I haven't even really gotten a good battle. Like either they spun in front of me, or like when I wasn't near them, or they just made a massive mistake, which let me through. And I think the only overtake I made was surprisingly on Gilly on the straight. So that was fun, finally overtaking Gilly on the straight. But yeah, how I avoided Ben, I don't know. I did hit him, but my front wing is I think I ordered it from Mercedes because it stayed intact.
But yeah, it was just a catch-up race. There was, I mean, I'm still P4 is quite good with losing like 22 seconds from the start, but
And no safety car as well.
And no safety car. So yeah, finally no safety car for me to catch up. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun driving anyway.
Yeah, good job, good job. Hungary, do you think you can do well there?
I mean, at least Gilly can't use like 0-0 wing to like hold everybody up, so I think it will be better.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's either they can't do it at all, or everyone will be stuck behind them for the entire race.
Yes.
One of two outcomes will happen next week. One last question: how would you describe your race in 3 words?
Very, very lonely.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And that's it for me. Thank you very much, and I'll pass you over to Zingy.
Thank you everyone for watching that scintillating Japanese Grand Prix. Join us once again at 7 PM ET for the NA Championship. Join us on Tuesday as well for the practice lobbies, and obviously next weekend for the LSI Championship. That's been it from us. Have a great day everyone, and then we'll see you later.